Just a bit of context for the CFTA. When the heads of state met and they launched the CFTA, there was a particular context that they wanted us to understand. And the context is that we need to address some of the structural rigidities that make our economies perform suboptimally. So that is very key in terms of the CFTA. So we should always put this at the back of our minds. Whatever we do, we want to address what is it that constraining economies in Africa that will perform badly in the global economy. So that is very key. So that's the first one. And I want to use some statistics before I get to the text. I look at, Anta did this study, and they look at, these are exports of manufacturers within Africa. And I have all the countries and what they export. So I just took Africa in 2016, the actual figure, it was $91 billion. Now they compared that with Vietnam. Vietnam is 138 billion. So this paints a situation for the continent that if you have one country in Southeast Asia that outpaces in manufactured exports, outpaces the whole of the continent, it means that the situation is that. If you take SADC, for instance, we have about 40.7. If you take South Africa out, you see you have 33.9. Then the rest, Namibia and all the Swaziland and all that, less than 10. EAC 3.4 billion. These are exports within Africa. And so we have Africa, the rest of the world, and then our exports, imports. And you look at the trade balance. So when you take Africa, for instance, our imports 20877. Then look at the exports. So we have a trade balance negative. The rest of the world also negative. So what it means is that we are importing more than we are exporting, whether in relation to Africa or with the rest of the world. So whichever direction you look at it, the trade balance is negative. If you look at ECOWAS, petroleum products, petroleum oils, and lime and cement, these are the products. They make about 72% of our exports. If we're having a CFTA, and this is how fragile our economy is, so that we have these products making about 72% of our exports. These are oil products. I mean, it means that there's a productive problem and we need to deal with it. If we don't deal with it, then it will be very difficult for us to benefit from the CFTA. So we need to deal with this reality as we do the CFTA. I decided to look at Ghana. So if you take Ghana, the things that we export within Africa, gold, Vietnam, plywood, petroleum oils, so these fruits and nuts, these are primary commodities that we export as a country. And if you look at the share, if you take the first one, 23% of our Africa trade. In terms of integration, we need to deal with the market integration, we need to get trade infrastructure, we need to deal with the productive capacity. Now, national treatment simply means that once we enter into the agreement, any good that passes through the customs, once it enters the country, it must be treated as a Ghanaian product. You cannot discriminate, in favor of the Ghanaian product. Import duties. So now they enter with an import duty, but once we have the CFTA, so the product enters without the import duty, and that has revenue implication. And so we need to understand that once we go into a CFTA, the kind of revenue we get from customs, and there will be a reduction in some, and we need to work hard to get it from other sources. Another progressive liberalization, you have member states or a custom territory shall eliminate X%. So let's say upon entry of the CFTA, let's say we'll take it that we are going to do away with 20% of our tire lines, duties of tire lines. Then for the next maybe another M years, so another M year or another 5 years, we'll do away with another 20%. And then we're going up. And then the other one will do away with the final one. And there are advantages to any of these options. So we have export tax that can be used within the CFTA. Export taxes are good in terms of one, you can get revenue, that is the first one. By more developmental use of export tax, it makes the product available for domestic use. And so if you are exporting raw materials, the government can decide that we are going to impose an export tax so that the raw material will be available for domestic manufacturing and all that value addition that can create job and linkages in the economy. So that is very important. Once everything is done with the CFTA, then they have to take it to Parliament for ratification. And so the role of the MPs and all of us is very important in making sure that our concerns are addressed. Thank you.